Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a 5 first impressions video. 5 first impressions video. Don't know where that came from. As you may notice, I have my window open like the rest of the UK. I'm complaining about the heat too, so there might be a few bits of that as well. I've just waited for 10 minutes because a motorcycle decided to sit with its engine on outside my house, which was nice and ideal. Anyway, as I said, 5 first impressions. Recently I've been to the States, so it's mainly stuff that I've picked up, but there is an eyeshadow palette that I didn't get from the States, but I just haven't tried yet. But yeah, so I'm going to let you know what I'm going to try, then I'm going to put it on, I'm going to tell you how I felt like it applied, and then I'm going to check back in later on and let you know how it's settled in. I'm going to be completely honest with you, it's about 4 o'clock, and I'm not doing a whole lot, but I want to see sort of how sweat resistant it is, because even though I'm not running or anything, I am very much profusely sweating. So anyway, so I'm going to tell you the 5 products I'm going to be trying, and then I'm going to put them on. So the first product that I'm going to be trying out today is the Peach Perfect Comfort Matte Foundation by Too Faced. I'm using the shade Swan. I don't have any of the boxes or anything for this. If that's something you're like, are you trying this out? It's because I had to transfer it and all that stuff. So this is a bit of an anomaly for me today, because I have tried this a handful of times, but I haven't liked it. And what's interesting is a few years ago I bought the Born This Way foundation and I didn't like it when I first tried it, but actually I then really started to like it. I found a lot of foundations, when I initially try them, I'm not the biggest fan, and then I end up liking them, and I hope this is one of them. I actually bought it as a sort of matte version of the IT Cosmetics CC cream, and as you can see I very much enjoy this product. So what I'm trying is a different technique of applying my foundation, and also it's not usually this hot in the UK. It is not, my skin will not usually be producing this much sweat and oil and grit, so I feel like it's a little bit unfair to test this just the once when we're in this heat wave. But what I am going to be trying out is I'm going to be using some setting spray. Now this one, PS, is one that I picked up from the States. It's by Milani, it's the Make It Last one, and I can tell you it's a good spray, but I've almost finished it. I've had it about a month, which I don't know, I just feel like it's gone really quickly. But yeah, so I'm going to be using this as a primer. I'm also going to be using a pore minimizing primer, sort of where my pores are, but I'm going to be using this as my primer, and then I'm going to mix these two together to see how that looks, how that comes out. I'm going to use a brush to apply it. So that's kind of the thing I'm testing, and I don't know, it's one of those things that I don't want to sort of give up on this foundation just yet, because it's just not working for me right now. As I said, it really makes me think of the Perfection Lumiere foundation by Chanel, which I love now, but when I first got it, I got it in the summer for like similar reasons, and I didn't like it. So gonna be trying that one out first. I've got 2 other skin products, and these ones are from the drugstore. So I've got the Wet n Wild highlighting powder. Now this I've swatched on the back of my hand, but I have not put on my face. And I have got the Butter Bronzer. Now, I usually use just solely contour powders. This one is in the light, by the way. This product is super duper hyped, so yeah, I thought I'd give it a go. So I picked those 2 up, and then I'm also, the eyeshadow palette that I mentioned is by Zoeva. Now I've had this quite a long time, but just for whatever reason, I just haven't pulled it out. I think for one reason it's because it doesn't have a mirror, and it's reflected in the price. I believe this is £18, which is really good value, and I'm a big fan of the Zoeva brushes, so I thought I'd try, oh my gosh, so I thought I'd try that one out. And last but not least, I'm trying a product by Hard Candy. I'm trying their Cashmere Silk, oh my gosh, their Cashmere Silk Demi-Matte Cream Lip Colour, and I have this in the colour Biscotti. So when I bought this, I thought it'd be kind of like a satin finish liquid lipstick, but when I've swatched it on the back of my hand, again I haven't put this on my lips, I've just swatched it on the back of my hand, it's looked a lot like a lip gloss, which is not something I usually go for, but I'm going to try it out anyway. So we're going to do this all together. Anyway, so let's start off with setting my, I'm going to zoom you in, I think, and I'm going to apply the foundation. Right, so I'm going to start with the setting spray. As I said, like, this is a nice setting spray. I do really like Milani, but yeah, it's just, I whizzed through it. Right. I'm going to pop that on, I'm going to let that dry. I've just taken my makeup off. As I said, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but then I thought, I am going to film this video. My hair is so greasy right now, so I'm just going to sit up so you can't see. And then I'm going to take this Smashbox Pore Minimizing Primer. I haven't tried this one before, where my pores are living large. Right, so now onto this, I'm going to mix it. The problems I've been having with this, I don't think I mentioned it earlier, is it just sits on my skin. It doesn't mould very well with my skin, and it's the type of product that you think would work quite well with hands. And it just doesn't, and I've tried it a few different ways, so I hope it's just I'm finding my groove with it, because, you know, it's Too Faced, it's not cheap or anything, and there's a whole host of foundations that I could have picked up then. I don't know if the Peach collection is available, I don't know, I wanted to try it. I saw it on counter. So what I'm going to do is take a pump of this. As I mentioned, this is the colour Swan. I'm going to take the colour Fair from the CC cream. Oh wow, I'm really running out of this. I'm going to put them on the back of my hand, and then I'm actually going to use, of all brands, a Beauty Pie brush. Now I've used this brush a couple of times and I've quite liked it. So it's kind of like a buffer brush. But I'm just going to sort of use the brush to mix them together and then pop it on my face and give it another go. See, so far that it's not looking that bad. Maybe it's the type of product that I might need to like mix in with like a moisturiser or my SPF, like, oh, excuse me, excuse you. Maybe it's the type of product that I need to like mix in a little bit with like my moisturiser or my SPF, just because I found like having that little bit more slip to it has made it not sit on my skin. Yeah, what I've been finding, like, I'm talking 10 minutes after I've powdered and sort of finished my makeup, you know when you just get like that red nose like under a veil of powder, and I'm like, where has my foundation gone? So which I think is a bit of a shame, but as I said, I'm gonna try and work with it. I'm gonna try and make it work for me, and hopefully mixing it with a little bit more of a creamy base might work out for me. But anyway, we will find out later on. I will see you back when I am powdered. Full disclosure, I'm going to use an eyeshadow primer, and the one I'm going to use is by Milani. I'm using a lot of Milani products today. This is just the one I'm using at the moment. I quite like it, but I would never use eyeshadow without an eyeshadow primer, because that's just the way that I like to do my makeup. I know eyeshadow primers is something that I notice the difference in, so I don't think it'd be fair for me not to use one when I usually use one. So if I'm judging it against my day-to-day, do you know what I mean? You know what I mean. Anyway, so I'm going to pop some of this on. Now my eyes are primed. I'm going to crack into the Cocoa Blend palette. This one you can get on quite a few places. I believe you can get it on Cult Beauty and on Beauty Bay, and their own website as well. Anyway, it's got 12 shades with about half and, oh no, not about half and half. There's 4 matte shades and the rest are sort of either a satin or a shimmer finish. And I think I'm actually going to stick with all matte ones today, because why not? And I'm going to start with Bitter Start, haha! It's not so bitter, I hope, which is this sort of bone colour, and I'm just going to pop that all over my eye, which is something that I like to do with most palettes. In fact, let me show you my NARS one, which is one I use basically every day. I don't know if you can, hang on, if you can see here, this sort of bone colour, long gone, so yeah, I'm just going to pop a bit of that on, and I'm using a Real Techniques brush. As I mentioned before, it doesn't have a mirror, which is a bit of a pain, but as I said, it is reflected in the price, because it really is not that expensive. And I'm going to take that sort of all the way up to my brow bone and all over the lid, just as a base and something for the other shadows to blend into. I find putting sort of a skin colour base, you could even use your face powder for it, really does help eyeshadows blend with one another rather than just blending them on bare sort of lid, bare lid. But yeah, even if you don't want to get a separate eyeshadow primer, you could definitely use concealer and sort of your face powder to prime your eyes with, which is what I would recommend. But, or you could get the real deal. Right, next I'm going to use this sort of camel toned colour, which is called Substitute for Love. I mean, okay, does it smell like cocoa? Hang on. No, can confirm the eyeshadows are not scented. And I'm just taking a sort of a really big fat fluffy brush, and I'm just going to work this into my crease. I think I am going to take this onto the lid as well, but I'm going to start with it in the crease and see how I feel. They're blending quite nicely, you know. I quite like how they're blending. I do always tap off the excess of my brush, and I'm not getting any fallout or anything, which is nice. I don't think you realise how loud your street is until you have the windows open 24/7. And me in sort of the suburbs of Bristol, I have motorcycles, I have yappy dogs, I have big boy tunes being blared out of cars. It's just a whole thing. I'm then going to take another Real Techniques brush, and I'm going to take the Substitute for Love again, and I'm going to put that more or less all over my lid. I'm going to leave about 1/5 and not have anything on it, just so I can sort of leave it as a highlight. I'm just going to take that all over the lid. I find I'm dipping in quite a lot. I don't know if that's just like a force of habit, but I'm finding myself going back and back again to sort of get product, but it's not falling out or anything, like it's not It's not that it's not pigmented, I feel like I need to keep loading my brush up. Alright, this is so far what we're dealing with. I'm then going to dip into the colour Freshly Toasted, and I'm taking a smaller sort of domed brush. I'm going to take that quite heavily underneath my eyes, and this colour is more of a sort of reddier brown. I'm sort of joining it up here where Substitute for Love ends, and I'm going to take again the same brush, excuse me, and run it through the crease. I'm finding these shadows are blendable, they blend quite easily, but I find myself dipping in again and again, which I suppose I would rather have them work. Like, now there's a helicopter. What is going on? £5 bloody ice cream van's going to turn up in a minute. I think I'm going to take Sweeter End, which is sort of, is it a taupe? It's like quite light though. And I'm going to use that as sort of like an inner corner highlight. Although, I think when I put my highlighter on, I might use that. Yeah, that's not really, because this isn't really like a particularly shimmery or bright shade. Which I suppose you could say they're missing. I mean, I quite like they have a matte, oh god, that's a bit of eye gurk. I like that they have like a matte bone shade, but I find maybe that's something that's missing, is a sort of more sparkly shade. I'm actually going to take the bigger brush that I used Substitute for Love for, and I'm going to run over a little bit the sort of more darker reddy brown. I'm a bit heroin chic. You'll notice with the colours that I'm using today, I'm definitely going for sort of like that, a tonal look, like a very much an orangey tonal look, which I don't know if you can see can match my top as well. I think with these shadows, with the application process, I find they blend very nicely. However, you have to keep going in. But I don't know, I don't know if it's just I'm playing with them, so I feel like I have to keep layering and playing and not stopping. But yeah, I find myself just literally, and like when I'm going in, I'm not even like just going, I'm like really like going in. So, and then tapping off the excess, but as I said, it's not dropping down, and the pan sizes are pretty nice, so I don't know how long this will necessarily last, but I mean, we've all got a million eyeshadow palettes anyways. I'm going to do my eyebrows, and I'm going to pop on some mascara, and I'll be back. Right, and I'm back. So I didn't want to put any eyeliner on because I wanted the sort of eyeshadow to do the speaking, but I did put a bit of the darker shade called Beans Are White, to sort of accentuate the lash line a bit, but I was not a fan of that colour. It was very, that was probably the least pigmented shade, and obviously because it's the darkest, it's the one that you could tell the most, so much so that I did actually kind of go back over with Substitute for Love to blend it over. So but yeah, this is the eyeshadow look, and I put my brows on and my mascara on, and I don't hate it. Right, so now I'm going to try the two cheek products. Hang on, I don't know why I zoomed you out, because I'm going to zoom you right back in again. Oh my god, I've got an itchy nose, itchy nose, itchy nose. Right, so starting off with the bronzer. Now, I haven't used a bronzer in a very long time. But this is one, hang on, sorry. I don't know where I've put it. It's right here. This is the Butter Bronzer, which is by Physicians Formula. I haven't used a bronzer in some time, but actually looking at it, I pulled out this golden oldie, which is the Honey Bronzer by The Body Shop. And actually, again, this one is in light. They're not, oh, I suppose on camera, maybe it's because it's got the sort of pattern. They're not too dissimilar. I will tell you right now, if you do not like scented makeup, you will hate this, because this reeks, to put it mildly. It stinks. I mean, it smells nice, but it's like heavily scented. Anyway, so I'm going to use this brush here. I believe this is the Multitask brush. Yes, it is, by Real Techniques. Just going to swirl it on in, tap off the excess, and sort of concentrate it on my cheeks. Swirly, swirly, tappy, tappy. I mean, that does blend very nicely and very seamlessly. I think sometimes with contour powders, you can really get into the habit of not blending out that line. I think if you don't sort of keep tabs on yourself, whereas I think with a bronzer it's a lot more lighter, even though I know they emulate different things. I quite like that. I wish it wasn't scented, because sort of really smelling it just then is giving me a little bit of a headache. But other than that, I think the product itself is actually really nice. Anyway, another cheek product. We're going to move on to the Wet n Wild highlighting powder in 319B Blossom Glow. So this one was the colour that I sort of like the look of the most. I swatched it on my hand and it was super glittery. Like, it was not, I err on the more side of natural when it comes to highlighters, because I don't want it just to look like I've got glitter on my face. There's a time and a place, and don't get me wrong, if you're going out, that's cool, but for sort of day to day, and I was a bit worried. As I said, I just swatched it on my hand, I didn't actually put it on my face. I'm going to use, however, a fan brush with it rather than something a little bit more hardcore, and I'm just going to sort of see how this works out. Okay. I think this is definitely something to apply with a fan brush. This is not something I would use a sort of more thicker brush for. I mean, it is still, I mean, it's not natural, let's be honest. It doesn't look like I've just been working up a sweat. That is alright, isn't it? I don't hate that. But, you know, that being said, it is definitely not something I would wear on the daily, because it does sort of have that almost glitter element to it. But that's quite nice, you know. I don't hate that. Anyway, I'm going to put a little bit of blush on. I'm still using the Tarte one I recommended. I'm just going to use that because I find it's quite universal for all types of looks. But, you know, if I was really going for it, I'd go for an orange brush. Blush as well. Why do I keep going out of focus? I'm not even moving that much. Hello. Right, as I mentioned, I'm going to be using this by Hard Candy. This is Cashmere Silk. I believe this is new. It had a new sticker on it. So, but it's definitely new to me. I haven't tried anything from them before. So I'm just looking for a mirror. I keep putting it down behind me and then forgetting. I am going to line my lips again with a Milani product. This is their Colour Statement Lip Liner in 09 Spice. Hang on, do I have some goo in my eye? I bet that was annoying some of you, wasn't it? I'm going to use this, which is nothing new. It's my standard lip liner. And I'm just going to accentuate my Cupid's bow in the middle of my bottom lip. So it forms like a nice little base. As I said, like I was hoping for, it says Demi-Matte, which makes me think satin fish. Definitely more that than anything else. But it says cream lip colour. Anyway, I'm going to pop this on and we're going to see what this does. At the moment it's looking quite like a pigmented gloss as opposed to anything else, but I have put 2 layers on, so I don't know if that's what's making it a little bit more shiny. On the lips you can feel something, but it's not sticky or anything. It's like quite, oily is maybe the wrong word, but maybe like an oil type gel. Oil come gel is how it feels on your lips. I'm going to see how long this lasts. I'm curious to see how this dries down. I quite like the colour. I think I'm working this tonal look I was going for. But yeah, I'm going to pop back in after I've eaten and we'll see how everything's looking after then. Anyway, see you in a bit. Hi guys, it is 25 to 1, and that is Ed Miliband. And I thought I'd talk a little bit about the makeup. So it's been on for about 8 hours now. So the highlighter I think is gone. Let's have a look, shall we? Yeah, no, the highlighter is gone, but I'd rather the highlighter fade off completely than rather just leave like 5 specks of glitter. So that's that. I feel like the bronze is still there a little bit though. I have to admit, I did have a nap, so I don't know if that would have done anything. Actually, the eyeshadow has held up really nicely. I really like the eyeshadow. I mean, if anything, I would maybe give the edges a little bit of a blend. But other than that, I'm happy with the eyeshadow. I would definitely use that again. The foundation, so about an hour into it, I looked in the mirror and I still had that sort of like really broken apart foundation on my nose, whilst also it's still looking like it hadn't settled into my skin. Now, because it's worn off a little bit more, you can basically see my skin. So I think I'm gonna try it out a few more, maybe with a few different powders and stuff. I did use the Hourglass powder, but I use that most days to powder my skin. So then I'm gonna use a few different ones, or sort of not powder it, see how that looks. Otherwise, I think I'm gonna wait until this heat wave's over to play with it, because I just don't think it's sort of pulling its weight effectively. What else did we have? Oh, the lipstick. The lipstick, I just think this is honestly like a lacquer, like a really pigmented gloss. I did notice, it's long gone now, but when I did eat my dinner, I did still have like a little bit on. I can still like kind of feel like the remnants of it. But this is one of those products which is super easy to top up. And yeah. And my battery died, so in between that I did actually put the gloss on without any lip liner underneath. And it's sort of, yeah, it's just like a pigmented gloss, and it does apply really nicely. I think when I would use it sort of layering on top of lipstick if I feel like it's a little bit dry, just to give it a little bit more of a something. But yeah, so eyeshadow, I like this. I usually like more satin lips, but it's nice enough if you like this type of product. I like the bronzer. Don't know how I feel about the highlighter. And the foundation, again, like I feel like I've heard really good things about it, so I'm just trying to make it work, but at the moment it's a bit of a dud. Anyway, if you've tried any of these products, please let me know, particularly with the foundation, if you like that foundation, how you apply it, what primers, etc. that you use. I'd love to hear about it. If you'd like to see these type of videos again, maybe with a little bit few more check-ins and stuff, so I don't just fall asleep, let me know. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you soon. Bye! Into the Cocoa Blend palette.